I'm looking over that outline.
Awesome. So we are live and just making sure that all the ladies are attending who are to attend. I'm going to send out an email real quick.
Okay.
Make sure this link is working.
So your womb space creativity is the Yoni dialogue.
Yeah, so we are live right now broadcasting. We have
Make sure this link is working.
Yeah, people are joining. Okay, if you're here in this chat, can you type in the group chat, which is on the right side?
So your womb space creativity is the Yoni dialogue.
Yeah, so we are live right now broadcasting. We have to make sure this link is working.
All right, let's see. Anyone want to chat? I'm going to write in the chat.
So you're echoing back.
Yeah, it's because I opened the chat up. Is everyone hearing here? Is everyone hearing? The group chat is on the right-hand side. It says group chat. If you're here, type hello so we can see. It went down from 5 viewers to 2 viewers.
Oh, I don't even see that.
Yeah.
I just saw one high. I don't know how to tell that.
Huh. Okay, let me send out an email real quick and see if everyone is having trouble with the link.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe people are just behind because it is 6:32, so that's only a couple minutes. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm waiting for a response back. Let's see, it says 5 viewers in here. That's interesting. Hello, everyone. If you can hear us, please type in the group chat, which is on the right-hand side. Say hello. Let us know that you're here. We want to begin the webinar, but we're just trying to work out these technical difficulties to make sure that...
Okay, what you have to do is you have to click on the blue box to the left in my computer in order to open the group chat. So you just arrow all the way to the top left and you see the little blue box.
Oh, okay.
So I am now seeing a chat box and I am now saying hello.
I see your hello. I see my hello too. Not seeing hello from anybody else though. But it says there's 7 viewers here. Welcome everybody. If you're here, right in the chat box, which is on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, you'll see a little icon that says chat. If it's not popped up for you, you can click that, and that should bring you into the chat box. So I see that Kristen on Facebook said that she's in here. So if you're in here and you can hear us, please write in the group chat on the right-hand side so that we know you are present, because we would like to begin. We just want to make sure that everyone can hear us. Okay, well, Lourdes, Kristen is in here, and I do see that there's people viewing. She says that she can hear us.
Okay.
She's typing to me on Facebook, so
Okay.
she doesn't see the group chat. So, Kristen, thank you. Oh, she's on her phone, so maybe you have to be on your computer in order to use the group chat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I say let's begin. At least people can hear us. And then with the questions that we ask, if people can't type in the chat box, and they can just write it down at home, just to get people stimulated and thinking. But I say let's begin. So I'm just gonna play this a little bit to clear the space to
Oh, perfect. I do private sessions. I'm not sure if you mentioned that. Yes, you probably did. Yes, you did. Everything's good.
Okay, awesome. So great. It looks like the group chat is working. Somebody just sent me.
Somebody else has access to my Facebook, and somebody.
Everyone is here. Okay, that's great. For some reason, I'm not able. Maybe let me update my group chat because everyone else is like saying things apparently.
I don't see anything on the group chat either.
That's so strange, but everyone can definitely hear us because somebody just sent me a photo. Everyone's saying hi. Well, hello, everybody. So we're gonna get started here today, and so yeah, so you guys now know how Lourdes and I met. I would just love to kind of introduce this topic by getting us all into our bodies and being present. So so much of us are, especially as empaths and spiritual teachers and things like that, because I know many of you are like on this health spiritual journey, and a lot of you are coaches or have businesses, are Reiki masters, things like that within the spiritual world. And for us, a lot of the times it's easy for us to hang out in these higher chakras where we're connecting to the divine, we're channeling this message of, you know, of oneness and truth. But sometimes it's hard for us to be fully present in this physical body, in this dense world that we live in, and really drop down into our lower three chakras. So our solar plexus, our sacral chakra, and then our root chakra, which all store fear, guilt, and shame, the energy of that. So in order to just kind of set the tone and drop into our bodies, I would like us all to just take a moment to do this this little shaking, bouncing exercise to literally start to feel your body vibrate. So I'm gonna put on this song real quick. Xavier Red.
When we stand up, I would imagine.
Yeah, if you want to stand up, go for it. So everyone, wherever you are, just start shaking it out. Literally just like get your body moving like however you want to move it. Maybe like throw your hands up in the air. Shake your womb space. Shake freely. Just let it all go and feel your feet connect to the ground. Feel yourself firmly planted while you're shaking your body.
Follow the sun, which way the wind blows, when this day is done. Breathe,
All
breathe
right.
in the
All
air.
right, everybody.
Set your intention.
You can sit down if you'd like. I hope that you are all feeling like a little bit more energetic. Maybe you're buzzing a little bit, you know, blood circulation is flowing. Because really, like, sometimes when the energy can get stagnant and the chi energy is stagnant, we start to feel exhausted and not mentally focused. And then we need like a stimulant such as caffeine or sugar. So really becoming present in your body, doing something simple as putting on a song, dancing it out, just even like shaking it out. Or moving your body, like going for a walk in nature, going to a yoga class, or just something to get into your body with a physical movement can really help to get things flowing and opening up. So I hope you all enjoyed that. And Lourdes, I know that you have another centering activity that you'd like to do that's a little bit more grounding. So maybe if we all just kind of want to take a deep breath to let go of the activity we just did. So inhale. Exhale.
So I'm bringing in that gas that you mentioned earlier. So let's begin. Inhale. Yes. Let's do that again. Inhale. Yeah. And one more time. Big inhale. Yes. And now take a moment to feel in your chair, in your car seat, wherever you are. And just notice if you can feel your thighs in the chair, your legs, your lower legs and your feet connected to the earth. And let's accentuate that even more by asking Earth Mama Gaia her warm, radiant love from the earth into our legs, into our hips, into our perineums at the base of our spine, our sacrums and our tailbones, and up into our pelvis, our uterus, and our beautiful yoni-verse. And then asking Father Sky or send down golden white light from above and expect it and absorb that golden white light into the tops of our heads, into our throats, our hearts, our bellies, our hips, and then allowing that to connect down the light that's coming from the earth. So now we're making sort of an infinity loop. So if you can imagine this infinity loop of light coming, nurturing, coming up from the earth into our lower body, at our heart, meeting at our heart, and then going back down into the earth. And then this other loop of light and love energy coming down from the sky into our heart and into our belly, and then resuming back up to the sky. Connect. So there's this infinity of the two different loops connecting as the top loops connects to the bottom loop. Hopefully you can get that from my picture there. And then just take a moment to be really present with our space and feeling inside of your heart that you have a lotus blossom opening up, and that lotus blossom can bring radiant light and love into your whole body, coming from your heart and spreading upward and into your head, spreading outward to your palms and your hands, and spreading downward into your yoni. Your yoni is your sacred space. It encompasses mostly your sexual pleasure and also your uterus and your ovaries. Your entire yoni-verse is your sacred magical mystical luscious juicy place in your body, and then connecting down. And that's beautiful. I could feel that was powerful for people, adding that description of the universe in there. So thank you for taking that on, everyone. The other thing later, Allie, I was guided to do that in this moment instead.
That is so beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, it's really connecting, like you said, with the yoniverse and our own yonis, and whether, you know, we have a yoni or we don't, because, you know, some women have had hysterectomies. That energy, that power is still located there. It's our feminine power, and the energy always remains. And it really is our source of creativity. It's the sacral chakra. It's where relationships and energy and emotions are stored there. But really, this is the space of our creative potential. And so many of us, are thinking with a brain, like, how can I, do this for my business, or how could I do this with my schedule? Or, it's always like plan, plan, plan. But when we're really able to breathe into this space, our yoni and our womb space, and really listen to that as our source of intuition, as our source of guidance, that's where the real magic happens, I believe. Because yoni itself is it's like a womb cave. And when you're able to really tap into that and allow the womb space to be the guidance for your life, it can give some powerful feminine messages.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so I really like that we're already on the subject, because I would like to talk a little bit about like sacred sexuality, as well as more about this sacral chakra health and how we can activate our feminine power from this space. So I know that in our society right now, our culture is very focused on orgasm as the end goal. And I know that you teach something opposite, which is all about orgasm not just being the experience of the heightened pleasure and then the release, but orgasm kind of starts throughout the whole process through just experiencing life and slowing down. So I'd love for you to just maybe share some of your thoughts on what orgasm really means and kind of redefine it for us. So yeah.
Yeah, so Allie, I'm actually sitting with the words you just said because they're really powerful, and they weren't going to be my words, but I want to start with those. So this idea that orgasm is about going down and really being present. And there actually are many different types of orgasm. So most of us think of orgasm as sexual release. Use that nomenclature or that idea that orgasm is release. Orgasm is ecstasy. Orgasm is connection of your sexual pleasure with your heart, your consciousness, directly to the divine. If you are self-pleasuring for orgasm, if you are with a partner and you're having an orgasm, then through your orgasm and through your heart connection with your partner, you are connecting directly through the divine together. So there's a loop. Imagine these are the two people, and this loop goes from heart through heart and up to connect to the divine. And there are many other loops happening in your body as well. And going back to what you said about orgasm being presence and pleasure, states of bliss that are orgasmic in meditation, in Shavasana, the afterglow of yoga, you can have them in nature, in connection to nature. And the continuum, the place where the two connect, the sexual experience, the spiritual experience, the nature experience, is that they're all one inside our bodies. All of our chakras, when all of our energy centers are open and spinning harmoniously and balanced, and we allow the energy that is present in the earth, in the sky, in all of nature to us, we can have orgasmic ecstatic bliss by looking into somebody's eyes or any of the other ways that I mentioned above. And so if I can go on from there to this idea of the goal for most people in sex is to have an orgasm. So I'm reminded of this idea that if you're going for something, that it won't happen. A bicycle on a narrow path where there are trees to your side and saying to yourself, don't hit that tree, don't hit that tree, don't hit that tree, you're actually more likely to hit the tree than if you are looking straight ahead and really enjoying. In sexuality, if you are wondering, my fists on purpose because our necks tighten and our throats tighten and our chests tighten and our yonis tighten if we're thinking, oh my God, I wonder if I'm going to be able to have an orgasm. Is he going to be able to give me, or she going to be able to give me an orgasm? Or am I going to be able ever? Or if the man, I thought there might be one man present, I don't know, but if a man or the man that you're with is thinking, I wonder if I'm going to be able to last long enough or stay hard long enough or give her an orgasm or please her or make her think I'm the best lover so that she'll want to stay with me or any of these, it's less likely to happen. And less likely to happen in a large way, even if it does happen. So in Tantra, we focus on love and pleasure. How much love can I receive? How much love can I take in as ecstasy? Love can I allow my partner to share with me? If I'm by myself, how much love can I receive and give to myself? Also, how much love can I offer to this person? How much love can I allow to flow forth from my heart into my hands, into my mouth, and into my yoni to give love and pleasure? And so as we're making love, if any other thoughts come in, we go back to love. I love this person. I love the way this person feels. I love the way my body feels. I love the way their body feels. Love that we're having this experience. So you don't even have to be really, really, really in love to experience the energy of love. And that is what brings us to the highest level of ecstasy, the highest level of pleasure, the most likely possibility that the orgasm without the goal of orgasm will happen and will happen in this really beautiful way.
I love that. Thank you. A couple of thoughts were stimulated from my mind as you were talking. You had mentioned like the connection of the eyes and even connection of the breath. And, you know, for many women, I feel like, and I mean myself included, when I think of times when you're experiencing pleasure or even starting to reach your climax, like it's very easy to have the eyes naturally close and just kind of like surrender. But instead, maybe practicing looking into your partner's eyes while you're climaxing and taking a breath and seeing like what that whole deeper intimacy level can open up for you when you're really connecting with them through the eyes, through the breath. And because our eyes, it's a vulnerable thing. And I mean, even in like business matters and work matters and relationships, there's a difference between listening to somebody and kind of looking around and not really connecting with them. And then there's a difference between looking at them and staring deeply into their eyes with this like full presence. It can be kind of scary. It can be like really intimate and almost to the point that it's like when you're looking at them, you're showing a very vulnerable part of yourself because your eyes are a reflection of your soul. When somebody looks deeply into your eyes, they can see your emotions, they can see everything. So when you're looking at somebody like that, and you're feeling your emotions come up, to be able to sit with that and take a breath and keep doing it, you start to show up in the world in so many different ways that you didn't even realize you could, that it was safe to do. And I mean, for me, that's why I kind of fell in love with Tantra. It was first these eye gaze practices and like really holding myself accountable. And what I noticed from this experience is that my relationships with everybody else, like even coworkers, even, you know, friends, even my clients, began to become that much more intimate just because I was able to allow more of myself to come out to the surface and really like share myself through my eye gazes. So
yeah, and it enhances your life in so many ways, as you said. And when you're making love, and I actually want to change one word that you said, and I'm sure it was inadvertent. You said staring deeply. And I want to take away that thought of staring. Because when we eye gaze, there's a soft focus. Soft focus. It allows us to see our internal world and to see beyond features of this person, but to see, as you said, through into their soul. And this softness that ensues between the two pairs of eyes, ability, as you said, to feel the emotion of the other person, to perhaps even a deep love for the other person's soul, and to sense the innocence and the beauty of this person, regardless of what is showing up in the lines, the hardnesses that some of us develop in our facial features over life. And so we soften, we sense each other. It's extremely healing for both people to practice eye gazing. And when making love, there can be this beautiful fiery connection between your eyes that can ignite even higher passion and having it be an even more cosmic and healing experience to open your eyes most of the time during lovemaking, not just during orgasm, at any time where your eyes can meet. And when I started practicing this, I remember sometimes saying to my partner at the time, oh my God, don't close your eyes, because there came a point where I was enjoying and feeding off of the soul connection that I never wanted that to end, that infinite gaze deeply into his soul, beyond his soul, into the cosmos. And start even outside of Tantra, like I look into my children's eyes naturally. And one day my 14-and-a-half-year-old came home and shared that one of her teachers had told her that she knew that she could trust her. And the reason that she knew that she could trust her is that if she looked into her eyes, she would look back. And it's not that the rest of the kids in her class are not trustworthy. It's that they're not used to doing that. It's that they don't know how to do it. And that at first it might be uncomfortable for them.
Yes. Yeah, I think in a world of overstimulation and consumerism, we're so focused on the next task, and a lot of us, have our phones or have our computers or have our TV, and sometimes we forget that deep, intimate connection with another human being and being able to make that connection in real person. And sometimes it can be tough to show up in ways that are fully present.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, I also wanted to comment on something else you were saying a couple minutes ago, when you first started talking about the subject. So we were talking about slowing down and really becoming present with your lovemaking and receiving pleasure by being in the moment. And I wanted to just touch a little bit on being able to do that even if you're not with a partner right now. I wanted to talk a little bit about my journey, and this is also why I really connect with Lourdes, everyone, because so I married myself on the beach in Thailand about a year ago, and Lourdes also she actually leads ceremonies. Did you just lead your white wedding ceremony?
Yesterday evening.
Yeah. So she actually does this too. She leads self-marriage ceremonies. So we connected over this at the Tantra Festival. But just my own history, I was in a 6.5-year relationship where I was engaged. We broke it off. He didn't want to have kids. So it was a time in my life that I was really redefining myself. Like, what did it feel like to be my own lover, my best friend, my counselor, my provider, like all of these things. And so I ended up marrying myself to really commit to knowing what those meant. And so I swore an act of celibacy. I wanted to know my own sexual energy. And so for me, my experience, I was hanging out with a lot of men who were talking about, the process of not pleasuring yourself because you spill the seed, and then that harnessed sexual energy is released, and instead like hold it in and then put it into your projects. Well, for me, that wasn't working. I felt that I came to fear my ovulation because as a menstruating woman, around day 14, every cycle we get juicy for several days, and we have high testosterone, and we have this increased sense of pleasure. And I started fearing it, and I started repressing my sexual energy. Mm-hmm. So then I ended up learning this tantric practice, which was to actually be intentional with my orgasm. So if I felt like I wanted to connect with my sexual energy, I would, and I would actually create intentions for it, and then I would use that sexual energy into my projects. Like I created an online course called Goddess in Rhythm. And this is literally what I did during the whole time when I was feeling blocked or overwhelmed, or I was feeling a lack of clarity. I would literally pleasure myself and invoke that vast power of the womb space, because there are several times that the cervix opens, and that's when you bleed, as well as when you orgasm and when you give birth. and then when you give birth, of course, the cervix really opens. And but all of those times you are opening up this energy to this vast womb space of creative feminine power, and it's being released out into the physical. And so as I would pleasure myself and just surrender to my own divine feminine, I would intentionally allow that energy. I'd say, you know, allow that energy to flow around my auric field, to nourish my organs, to harness the sexual energy into my creative projects, to help bring out clarity, to help bring out passion and joy. And orgasm releases, it builds oxytocin. And so it really helped to bring me back into my body, and less with this like mind chatter. I need to do this, and how am I going to figure this out? And it really helped to bring me back into my feminine power. And for me, that was so important because it was self-sustainable. And I come from a background of Catholicism, so I was always taught, I was actually shamed a lot in my youth about exploring my sexuality. And, you know, Mother Mary, who I love, but she was a virgin, and she became pregnant while being a virgin. So that was a very hard ideal to live up to. So I just wanted to share that journey, as well as with this whole experience. I also, because I wasn't seeing anyone and experiencing like intimacy with a partner, I decided to make sensual bliss my mantra. And I would start thinking like, how can I create pleasure in everything I'm doing? And I'd be working on my projects, my shoulders would get all tense, I'd be typing, I'm like, and then I thought, wait a second, no, this is not sensual bliss. Like, the way I'm acting right now is energy that I'm creating, and that's going into my business and into my projects. That's not what I want to create my stuff from. So I'd take a breath, and I would go put on something pretty. I would go for a walk in nature without shoes on. I would make a cacao elixir and sip it, or light a candle, or smell aromatherapy, and really just like invoke all my senses and treat my body like the goddess Aphrodite. Like, this is my body temple. I have one life to live. I might as well learn how to honor her. And then when I would set that tone of this like pleasure and sensual bliss, suddenly my mind would change, I would relax. And then when I'd start working on my stuff, I'd be working on it from this place of like sensual bliss relaxation. And then when I'd write, the words would flow out. It was like that creative block was released, and things would just flow from that. So yeah, I just wanted to share like where my mind was going while you were talking.
Beautiful. Is this a good time to talk about a self-pleasuring ritual for women and move through that?
Please.
So I recommend that women, you set up your space really, really. I'm sorry, I have to say something first, and then I could say that. Man who told you this of maintaining your seed. The men in your lives, let them know that in order to create this power, this focus, this juice that they need for their work, plus many other things, they don't need to never self-pleasure. They need to learn how to self-pleasure and ejaculate orgasm through inside of their body. So there's no ejaculation, but there's still orgasm. Because the same power that your orgasm has, his orgasm has. And he doesn't have to ejaculate to have it. He won't lose any juice. He won't lose any focus or any clarity. And he still will have this amazing life force building up inside of him for his project. Now, back to you, ladies. So, set the stage.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
Yeah. So buy yourself flowers, light your incense, light your candles, wear a beautiful outfit, take a hot bath with some roses, whatever it is that really turns you on. Look into a mirror and look into your eyes and do the same eye gazing that we were discussing earlier with yourself. Tell yourself that you love yourself, and tell yourself what you love about yourself on the physical and on the internal. And this is what we did in our self-marriage yesterday, by the way. We used a mirror, and we looked into the mirror and we read our vows to ourselves, and it was incredibly powerful. So the power in self-love and in harnessing the power of orgasm for your intention, as you mentioned, Allie, and also for developing even greater self-love. So the oxytocin that we develop in orgasm, or that we release during orgasm, during childbirth, can also be released just by massaging at our heart. So after our eyes, and we're working our way down, and the reason we're working our way down is that women come to pleasure from top to down. So we first intellect and our eyes and our hearts, and then we work down to the yoni. So, and I hope that as we are, you are also right now placing your hand and circling it around your heart, and just close your eyes for a moment and just feel. The oxytocin will begin to be released pretty quickly, and the more you're connected here, it will release, and the more it will release. And just say, I love you. And say your name. And say what I love about you is. And then just keep saying what I love about you is. And what more I love about you is. Love about you is. And if you can only say one or two things, and you keep up this practice, pretty soon you'll have more. So we're working down, then we get to our breasts. So our breasts are our heart connection, directly to our hearts, directly to connect pleasure to our hearts, to our emotion of love, and directly through our hearts. So when we self-pleasure and we're pleasuring our breasts, to make sure it's not just about, you can't see me, I think, it's not just about, you know, pleasuring them in whatever way, but it's about, oh my God, I love myself so much, so that you're really connecting to that love as you feel the pleasure. Then we go down, after we've done that, whatever amount of time feels right to you, you come down into your belly and into your womb space. What my womb space is and my belly is. And, you know, whether we've given birth, that's what we love, or we're birthing projects and birthing creativity, because all of that, as Ali said, is the womb. And giving love for that. And then moving into our hips and our buttocks and loving them, whatever their shape, whatever their size. Then coming to our thighs and loving our thighs, all with soft sensual pleasure. So I'm going to show you here that when I touch myself, I want to give myself God bumps. I want it to feel incredibly delicious. I don't want to go like that to my clitoris. Because clitoris doesn't really like that, first of all. And you're making it a physical experience. If you're listening to this webinar, you are not a 3D reality, official world kind of person, and you don't want your sex to be. So everything we just did brings us into love and brings us into a higher dimension of 5D reality connection to ourselves. If you're with a partner, you can do the same thing. It's just with your partner. So now we're getting to the yoni. That I want to show my...
Yeah, Lourdes showed us this at the Tantra Festival. This is the sexy sex ed that I was talking about. I hated sex ed in high school, but I liked, this was like a whole new world for me.
So this is the yoni verse, and I'm going to give you a quick on her, on how to love her. First of all, you know, love her. You see, there's this like love connection between you and your yoni. And you have out here and coming from the clitoris and downward has, besides the clitoral head, it has a shaft and it has legs that come down here. Also have vestibular bulbs, which are shaped kind of like kidneys. And they're under here, they're under the outer lips, and past the outer lips and up to here. And all of that is what's now being called the clitoris. And if you go online, just look for the clitoris flower. You can actually go into YouTube and Google the clitoris song. I'm not sure if that's the name of it, but you'll find it. It's this really cool blonde woman who makes this song about the clitoris being more than you can see. And I won't even try to sing it, but it's wicked awesome. And it shows you this picture of the clitoris flower, which is the clitoris with the head and the shaft and the legs, and these two vestibular bulbs. Really the clitoris. So when the man grew outward into his penis and his family jewels, which we call the lingam in Tantra because it means wand of light, or Vajra, which means thunderbolt, you did not get ripped off. You got the entire inside structure, plus the clitoris, plus your G-spot inside. Let's talk about the other areas and then we'll go to the G-spot. Underneath here, and you don't see that it's cut off, but just underneath the vaginal opening or the yoni opening, you have your perineal sponge, which is another place of pleasure. And what I'm showing you is your pleasure anatomy. Talking about have no other purpose in your body than to give you pleasure. Your clitoris, your vestibular bulbs, your clitoral legs and shaft, your perineal sponge, and your G-spot. Your G-spot is actually much longer than a spot. I'm going to show you sideways at the top in case you haven't already explored. And it is the entire bottom of your urethral tube. Your urethral sponge is the outside of your urethral tube. Your urethral tube, that's obviously where you pee, and that's above the opening of the yoni. And the bottom of that urethral tube is your urethral sponge, and it's actually quite long. So get in touch with it. You're welcome to take off your panties and explore it now if you want. I have no issues about that. And if you don't want, you can replay this and explore later. And feel the ridges. It's soft ridges, and that's your G-spot. It's not mysterious. Some women tell me they've never even explored it, they've never touched it, or if they've gone inside there, they haven't quite found it. Pretty easily if you just set your intention to feel in there and find it. So, self-pleasuring. The outside, once we get to the yoni, and we pleasure the vestibular bulbs, the perineal sponge, just above the clitoris on the Venus mound, energetically connects directly to the sacral chakra. That's what I call it. It's also your creative chakra. Actually, the chakra is actually just above the clitoris. So you can also energetically go here. So basically all you have to remember is at the top, at the bottom, and on the sides. Then come to the outer lips. I call them the outer lips rather than majora because some women's inner lips are bigger. We all have different flowers and all of them are beautiful. Some women, one lip is longer than the other. Some women, these are really long and these are smaller. Whatever they are, outer, inner, because mentioned in a woman's flower. So out here, you can take your fingers and you can rub and you can do all kinds of different moves out here, and you can just touch. All of these feeling for pleasure. Where do I feel pleasure here? And then find, just like you did with your clitoris, hopefully, at some point. And it will, if you haven't already, finding where is their pleasure. Now, all of this makes this entire erectile network, just like a man goes boing, you get puffy, you get dark, you get wet, and you get warm. So take a little selfie before you start to pleasure, just, and then erase it later if you have children that might peek. And then take one after, and you will see your flower blossomed, and it opened, and it got really puffy and juicy and wet and hot. You'll feel the hot. And then now you're ready to touch the inner lips. So they weren't ready before this. And after you touch the inner lips, which should be already lubricated, if not, please use some coconut oil or some sesame oil. if you have a regular pleasure practice, even if you're over 50 or 60, application. And if not, begin with coconut oil or sesame oil until that happens. Please don't use over-the-counter stuff because it's toxic and goes right into your body. Most of you already know what the clitoris loves, but if you haven't explored, you can do all kinds of side, up and down, circles, and play with that. But try to avoid, and try to avoid a vibrator. Because a vibrator will actually short circuit you energetically. And if you want to have energetic whole body orgasms that run through your whole body and go, ah, for a long time with high pleasure, instead of, ah, look at the energy. And we can talk about energy later. So then you get to your clitoris, you do whatever your clitoris loves, and then either before or after your clitoris orgasms, explore your G-spot. Have a G-spot orgasm. You can have a blended orgasm with one finger on the G-spot and one on the clitoris, or your thumb on the clitoris. And if this is more advanced, reach up to your cervix. You can play crystal bowl, which actually looks like an upside down, or feels like an upside down crystal bowl to your finger. And one of my favorite things to do in there is to just play the rim slowly and gently and feel the pleasure in that. Clitoral orgasms are pleasure. G-spot orgasms are pleasure plus emotional pleasure. And cervical orgasms are pleasure plus high-level emotional pleasure plus cosmic ecstasy. So you don't want to leave that one out eventually. Thank you, Yoni.
Oh my gosh. Oh my Gaia. I am so glad that you are in my life right now. And I'm grateful that you shared this with all our women, because they don't teach it like this in school. You know, it's very like the birds and the bees. And then if you sneeze, like it's like a small percentage of an orgasm or something. Like, no, the way that you described it, I'm gonna have to like practice things in a whole new way.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to comment, before you went into the sex ed, I really love how you were saying, like, when you are starting to like rub your heart and rub your breast, like giving yourself these self-love, like talk and dialogue, because I feel like we can be our own internal critics in this world, and we can beat ourselves up all day long. Like, you know, around people, like if we say something we don't think sounded good, or in our business if we don't think that was a good move, or it's just constantly all day long we might not notice the negative, like I don't like you kind of chatter that's beating us up. And so when we actually take time every day, like you said, to just like, I love you. You might have like tried to do this today and it may have not been like the best thing that you could have done, but like, I love you. I accept you. I love you. Like feeding that positive energy, your body listens to that. It softens you. It really builds inner self-love and inner trust. So thank you. Thank you for sharing all that, Lourdes. Like, I just love you.
Yeah. And Allie, that's so powerful for me that I want to add one thing to that. And that is that you did a great job. You know, like even if your project didn't fully go, like what I love about this project was, instead of, oh, I didn't do this and I didn't do that, I could have done this, I could have done that. Oh, what I love about this project and what I love about how you did this project is this. Because, you know, so often as children, we seek recognition. Like when we dive into the pool, we want mommy and daddy to say, yeah, you dove into the pool. Well, still as adults, we still want somebody to say that. If we can get to the place where we can come out of a project and come out of whatever and say, wow, you did an awesome job. And what I love about what you did was blah, blah, blah. Then you're carrying your shoulders back, your head up high, and it doesn't really matter what everyone else thinks.
Exactly. I love that. Yeah, really being our own, like our own mom and dad, you know, not looking for that validation, creating it from the inside out. Thank you for that. Should I jump a little bit to the foods that we can eat that can nourish our sexual energy and our juiciness and our vibrancy, which I definitely want to ask you a bit more about staying juicy even in your perimenopausal and post-menopausal years. So I definitely think that that would be great to get to that in a little bit. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the foods because that's an area of my life that I love. I'm a chef and writing this cookbook on women's hormone health. So it's something that I explore a lot because our society is stressful. As women, we are playing so many roles. We are mothers, caregivers, business owners, employees, community members, like church volunteers. We might be taking care of aging parents. You know, we may have just had a baby. Like there's so many roles that we play. So we're trying to juggle all this. And oftentimes our diet goes, you know, our nutrition, we might, you know, that's the first thing that could go, or these self-care practices that we're talking about of slowing down and experience pleasure and intimacy. Those things can, like, you know, head out the window when we're putting everybody else first. So if you are feeling exhausted at times, that can really affect your libido. So anytime that you're in this like go, 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 fight or flight response, that's really focusing on the adrenals. The adrenals produce cortisol as well as adrenaline. And so adrenaline is like the hormone that comes out in just, you know, quickly, like to help you move quickly and run away from a saber-toothed tiger or whatever it was created back in the day for. Now, these modern day stresses are, you know, driving a car and almost getting in a car accident, trying to get our kids to school on time. Like these can surge our adrenaline, but then eventually our adrenaline will go back down. But with cortisol, that is something that can be released, and then it can be released all throughout the day and actually stay elevated. And so over time, if we're constantly having these stress responses, our cortisol levels in our blood remain high. And then it's like everything in our environment, even the smallest thing, like we go into work and maybe our coworker says something, it can trigger us because we're in this fight or flight response. Our cortisol levels are already high, and we may even feel more emotional than the situation really would have made us feel if we were relaxed and in our juicy, pleasurable state. So there are foods that can help to reduce high levels of cortisol, which I want to talk about, as well as foods that can nurture the body if you have been in a stress response over time. Because when we're constantly stressed, our body will, so it's like this, like our reproductive system comes second. Our number one survival technique is survival. It's to feed this high level of cortisol so we can get away from the lion or the saber-toothed tiger. You know, it doesn't matter if we're needing to give birth, we need to survive. We need to get away. So what our body does is from the mother hormone, pregnenolone, and pregnenolone will make cortisol, it'll make progesterone, it'll make testosterone, it'll make all the hormones. But if we're stressed all the time, because that's the number one priority for our body for survival, the pregnenolone will be stolen to make more cortisol, to feed this elevated cortisol throughout the day. And so the pregnenolone will eventually not go into making things like progesterone and the sex hormones and helping with the thyroid. So that can become a real problem over time where women are experiencing low levels of progesterone, which with low levels of progesterone in relation to estrogen, a lot of women are estrogen dominant in our society right now, then that can affect women's menstrual cycle, where they're having PMS and breast swelling, cravings, cramping, as well as into the menopausal years. Like low progesterone can create hot flashes and all these unwanted symptoms. So the more that we take care of our body with this stress response through these pleasurable acts, as well as supportive food, then we can prepare ourselves for these feminine cycles, as well as even going into menopause. We can really set our system in good nurturing soil. So some foods that are going to help to reduce high cortisol, and this is one you probably all will love, is that there's a study that shows that a couple squares of dark chocolate, like low sugar dark chocolate, has actually been shown to help lower blood cortisol levels. So just a little bit of chocolate might be helpful for you ladies. And I actually just posted a new elixir on my Modern Goddess Lifestyle website, my blog, which is a cacao elixir. So that's something you can drink. But also, there's other foods that are going to help with building back these neurotransmitters that might be depleted from stress. So it's really important to incorporate more of the amino acids, the essential amino acids in your diet. So like L-arginine, L-lysine, and those amino acids are shown to reduce cortisol levels as well. So it can help reduce cortisol and help to build these neurotransmitters again. And so neurotransmitters are important because that helps with dopamine and norepinephrine. So it makes us feel good. And so oftentimes if we've been stressed and then our neurotransmitters are low, then if we're not feeling this dopamine high and we're not feeling happy, the first thing we usually do is, okay, well, I need coffee, or I need a stimulant, or I need sugar. We can go to those things to give us that high, that dopamine release. Yet eventually that can put more stress because caffeine raises cortisol again. So in the moment you might feel, oh, I feel good, but then you might even feel worse after that. So it's important to be eating foods that are going to nourish that. So those amino acids, like you can find them in different meats and different beans, sweet potatoes, things like that. And then of course, reducing coffee and sugar and things like that can be really helpful. But then also I want to talk a little bit about aphrodisiacs, because that's really exciting to be able to utilize food as a way to create more juiciness. Maca is a root vegetable from Peru, and it's actually found in a dehydrated form where you can get it from like Whole Foods or the local health food store, and it's in a powder, maca, M-A-C-A. And maca is shown to stimulate the libido, especially for men as well too. So not just women, men too. Cacao. So again, dark chocolate, not, added milk and added sugar, but just dark chocolate or pure cacao, which is the raw form of chocolate. That is also known as an aphrodisiac, and it can release these, build these dopamine, or release this dopamine as well. So having a little bit of chocolate, dark chocolate, again, lowers cortisol levels and can put you into this like dopamine loving response. The spicy foods are known as aphrodisiacs because they get the blood flowing. So like chili peppers, and we want the blood to be circulating, because if the blood is circulating, it circulates to our reproductive organs, and that can be really helpful for not just stimulating pleasure and like getting the blood flow to like have a heightened sense of orgasm, but also to increase our fertility. So if we are still in our menstruating years and want to make a baby, like having healthy blood flow circulation is really important, that blood flow is carrying fresh nutrients to our womb space, to our reproductive organs, to our ovaries. Surprisingly, watermelon is another aphrodisiac. It actually helps to relax blood vessels and improve circulation as well. So as we're going into summertime, that might be something everyone might want to enjoy on their picnics. And then figs and strawberries are an ancient fertility symbol in Greece, as well as pomegranates. And pomegranates are known for fertility since like Greek mythology, when I think it was like Demeter was down in the underworld or something. And these and pomegranates are actually good for fertility too. The antioxidants are awesome for creating healthy egg maturation, as well as healthy follicles. Also, I wanted to share, let's see what else. Oh yeah. Okay. So for any women, that are on birth control, so with the menstrual cycle, we have this experience where estrogen increases, which estrogen is what makes us juicy. It creates the cervical fluid release that we're experiencing right before our egg bursts through the follicle and when we're supposed to get pregnant. And that juicy environment is what allows sperm to live for several days so it can reach the egg. It's like this wet, nurturing cave that's like, come get me pregnant. So estrogen is it's the highest around the time that we're ovulating, and then after we ovulate, it dips back down, and then progesterone increases the second half of our cycle. But when we're on the birth control pill, so we actually never ovulate. The birth control pill prevents ovulation. And so for some women on the birth control pill, which is what happened to me, I was on the birth control pill for 5 years, is that my estrogen levels became too high because I was not getting enough progesterone with this release of egg, and then progesterone build the second half of the cycle. So when I got off the birth control pill, I didn't get my period for 2 years. And then when I got it back, I had it 2 weeks every single month. And I had high estrogen in relation to low progesterone. And so just to my whole health journey is I found out that the birth control pill actually messes with your gut microbiome. So it can make it hard to absorb B vitamins. So I started taking a B complex, actually by the brand Raw, Garden of Life. I really like theirs because their B vitamins are active. It's in the folate form, not the folic acid, which folic acid can be difficult for the body to process, as well as the B12 was in a methylated form, which means it's more active. So I started taking this B complex, and I don't think that my body was absorbing the B vitamins well, because suddenly when I take the B complex, I started having all of this energy, and my sex drive, it healed. Like when I was on birth control, I used to be this like juicy teenager walking around, like kind of scared what was in my panties. And then once I got on the birth control pill, like that just disappeared. And then after being off of it, I was not wet ever. And then after like nurturing my body and supporting it with the B vitamins, I noticed that all of this started coming back, and the older I got, like my libido was even getting better. So I was like, okay, like yeah. So for any women that are on the birth control pill, it may be important to look into taking a B complex or eating more foods with B vitamins, which you can get from like mushrooms, beans, sweet potatoes, all of the meats. You can just look it up, research foods with B vitamins, as well as seafood, and sea veggies are really nourishing. That's going to provide a lot of minerals back into your body. Yeah, and I finally just wanted to touch on sugar too. So this is an activity I love. I actually gave this activity in my New Year Sexy You program. I asked every woman to pick one day or several days to look on the back of all the labels of the food that they were consuming and then write down how much sugar it had. Because for women, the American Heart Association recommends no more than 25 grams of added sugar a day. And for me, that was the biggest thing I ever started doing, just like recognizing how much sugar comes into my diet. Because even on the health food journey, you're like, there's like this delicious turmeric drink you can buy from the health food store. And if you look on the back of the label, it's 14 grams. So you think you're drinking something good, but then you see how much sugar is in it. Or using honey or maple syrup, sugar is sugar at the end of the day. So keeping track of it helps you recognize where it really is coming into your diet. And so reducing the sugar in the body is really supportive for the adrenals. So as we start to head into menopausal years, our ovaries are going to stop producing as much estrogen. And again, estrogen's what makes us juicy and luscious and gives us these curves. We still produce it in menopause, but it comes more from our adrenals. So if our adrenals have been weakened from all the years of stress and poor diet, nutritional deficiencies, as well as like eating way too much sugar every single day, which is hard, it's a common thing in our society. The sugar can really help to support the blood sugar, and when the blood sugar is stable, that helps create like these less stress responses of blood sugar spikes, and then that's very nourishing for the adrenals. And so when we nourish the adrenals and we reduce the sugar, what happens is then our body, since we have this less stress response, we can start creating more progesterone. We can start relaxing more. We're like in this constant state of feeling grounded and feeling pleasure, which then our progesterone levels can boost naturally, which can help with our fertility, which can help with the menopausal years. And so I'm a huge advocate for looking at ways to reduce sugar. I mean, it definitely is an addicting substance and it can be really challenging, but like even if you just pick one day a week and really look at labels and see where you're getting sugar in your life, it can be eye-opening. And then over time, you may feel more inclined to, maybe reduce the sugar. Maybe instead of adding the maple syrup to your oatmeal, just like adding banana or stevia or something like that. So I just wanted to share some tips for people. I hope that was helpful. Oh, also zinc is another mineral that's great for the libido. So pumpkin seeds, oysters, let's see, beans, nuts, shrimp, as well as pine nuts. That's really high in zinc. And zinc is also super supportive for the thyroid. But yeah, just to go a little bit further, because I know now we've been talking about menopause, and I know women are all different ages in this webinar, which is so cool. So I wanted to just, ask you a little bit. We had talked a bit about how to stay juicy in menopausal years, that it doesn't end after you go through menopause. Your life is not over. Like, you can still have this amazing sex drive. And I know, just like from talking to you, that you have this glow, like, what's up. So Lourdes, please share with us your secret tips. Like, we'd love to know.
I would love to, and I have a burning question for you, because so many of us are vegan or vegetarian. You mentioned 2 amino acids, L-arginine, and I didn't catch the other one. And I'm wondering, can we get those from our vegetables and our plant foods, or do we need to take supplements?
Yeah, you can get them from your plant foods. It's just important. I don't have a full list. Maybe that's something I can send out in an email to all the people who've attended, a list of vegetables that you can get these from. Because it's important just to eat foods that we're consciously eat these foods every day. So we're making sure that we're getting them into our diet, because we can overlook it. So I'll send out, maybe I'll put together like a whole little list of where you can get these amino acids in meat or seafood or plant-based, just so depending on what diet you're on, you can have it. So thank you for that. That's a great idea.
Yeah. So hot and juicy. I'm 59 years old, and I am madly in love with a pilot who lives with me for 4.5 years now, and he's away a week and back a week. When he's here, I still make love twice a day sometimes, and I do it because I love it, and I love him, and I love making love with him, and I am juicier than I've ever been, and that has to do with having awakened sexually, having expanded my orgasmic ability, starting with the birth of my first daughter. Her movement through my birth canal, believe it or not, began to heal my G-spot, my ability to feel pleasure through my G-spot. And then after that, doing Tantra, studying Tantra, taking Tantra training where I worked on women and they worked on me, and that supported my continued healing. I have very high levels of pleasure in the entire anatomy. So that's one thing. If a woman is not feeling pleasure, some women feel numbness, some women feel pain, and enters them, whether it's with their finger or with their wand of light, they're not going to feel juicy. Of course, they're not going to be having sex on a regular basis or wanting it, and their hormones are going to drop. So with the reproductive hormones, the estrogen, the estradiol, the progesterone, all of that which we know of through the research that happens as we get older, can actually be or lessened if we are staying juicy and sexually active, and we're having great sex. So a genital orgasm, which goes through one nerve in your pelvis, is not going to give you as much juice through your whole being as a whole body orgasm. It goes through all of your chakras and all of your organs and all of your, it's a heartgasm and a braingasm and a consciousnessgasm. That's going to be much better. So we want to ideally get to that for many reasons. So we want to heal the pleasure. We want to open up to the most pleasure possible in our yoniverse. We want to open up our chakras and balance them and have them highly functioning to open up the amount of energy that can move through our whole body. We want to get to where we actually enjoy. Don't just do it to get off or to be able to sleep or whatever sometimes we do it for. And all of that makes the hormones function well. There is also this magical, mystery, amazing substance called Amrita, or female ejaculate. Amrita means divine nectar. And we are all capable of it. It happens For some women simultaneously, some women the first time they make love, it starts to flow. And for some women, we need, myself included, needed to be and reawakened sexually because I was, I don't like to say victim, but I did experience sexual abuse as a teenager. And so has occurred to you, or you've just had years of objectification, meaning the man wanted his sex and you were his object, not good for us. And or just a man who loved you, but he was naive and he really didn't know about how to touch all of these places inside of us, because men don't know and women don't know. And so for whatever reason, if we haven't been loved well, we probably need some establishment.
Oh, hey, I'm getting some feedback real quick. Hang on, real quick. Hello?
Yes.
Okay, yes, sorry. I was getting some weird feedback if you want to continue what you were saying.
So we want to reestablish logical connection. I'm still hearing that and I don't know what's causing it. So the neural pathways can actually be shut down. I don't know if you have suggestions.
Maybe we should like do an ohm.
Ask our angels to support us.
Yoniverse, help us.
Breathe.
Is it working again?
I think let's. I'm hearing feedback a little bit.
Okay.
But it's better. I'm echoing. Do you hear an echo?
I'm not really hearing an echo anymore.
Then I won't let it bother me. I want to reestablish the neurological connections. If you're ever sexually abused or objectified, or God forbid, I'm sorry if this ever happened to you, raped, then we may have shut down our neurological connection between pleasure in the yoni and pleasure that our brain can register and our heart can register and can move through the body. So that needs to be reopened. And then Amrita can flow. So Amrita is the divine nectar, and the way that we support the divine nectar in flowing is to have, which you can do yourself. You can ask your partner to do it. I'm doing this sign of come hither because it's exactly what you want to do. So if you're inside of your body, so my yoni is here, I'm doing come hither in this direction. You can also do all kinds of different strokes on the yoni, and so can your. You can also come to somebody who's a tantric healer like myself, it's what I specialize in, and support the awakening of the pleasure in the G-spot, the neurological connections, and the flow of the Amrita. Once Amrita starts to flow, you don't need lubrication anymore because the Amrita starts to flow when arousal happens. Some women will drip, pour, or gush, or squirt. I'm a dripper. So as soon as I start feeling pleasure, I start lubricating, even though I'm 59, and I lubricate all the way through pleasure. And when I finish, I don't know for sure whether Gerald, my beloved, has ejaculated or not because there's still a wet spot. I have to go and smell it to see, or ask him if there's any semen in that wet spot or if it's mine. As I said, some women have copious buckets or gallons. Parts of the ways that you can remain luscious. One of the things is also not to believe. Oh my God, so many women believe the cultural idea that we dry up at menopause, or that you're not sexy if you're over 50, or that you're supposed to not anymore if you're over whatever age, maybe for some it's even 40. And so this beginning to believe again that it's possible, and beginning to create the healing for yourself and within yourself, and follow those. I've been following very good nutritional guidelines. I'm going to add some from what you said, so I will value you writing them down for me. But I have been doing some of those things. And I eat a very careful diet. I eat extremely low sugar. I don't put sugar in anything. I don't eat anything that I know has sugar in it unless it's hidden. It's hidden, it's in a restaurant, because I also don't buy food with sugar in it or anything that's processed. And that makes a big difference. for me and my health. And I've noticed a huge difference. I want to put a plug in for the diaphragm and bring me back if I've forgotten something. I have not your diaphragm for breathing, but the diaphragm that you can buy in the store, this little cup, and it comes with a little spermicide. And going back to this information about the pill, because what are your choices? The injection, which does the same, wreaking of hormonal havoc on your body. You can take a pill. You can have an IUD, which can possibly have all kinds of complications. Some women can do that successfully. Not everyone can. My entire menstrual life, from the time that I started having sex in college, I chose that. I didn't want to do the pill, and that's all I ever used. So that's an idea that I'd love women to explore, because honestly, no woman ever comes into my practice and says she uses a diaphragm. And so I'm wondering why. You go to the doctor, they measure you, and they fit you, and they give you the perfect cup for your perfectly beautiful, gorgeous cervix, and you're good. And you don't need a different one unless it leaks or breaks, or you have a baby, and then you need a little bigger one. Plug for that. Did I miss anything, Allie?
Oh, that's awesome. And yeah, if menstruating women who are listening want to know more about how to use the fertility awareness method, that's something I teach in my Goddess in Rhythm course. Know when you've ovulated by taking your basal body temperature every morning, to know when you're done ovulating so the egg is no longer present, and then that 10 to 14 days before you menstruate, you're basically not fertile. So knowing your rhythm can be really helpful too. But yes, thank you for that tip. It's just so important that we have these other tools that we can know about besides, you know, the pill or having hormones, some kind of hormone birth control.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are getting close to the end of our webinar, which I don't want this to end ever, but I wanted to just like, we have a tantric breathwork practice that I would love Lourdes to share for you guys, just because I really think that it's important to be able to have some takeaways that we can start practicing in our life, whether we are single and we just want to practice this to feel open with ourselves, or if we do have a partner we want to practice this breath work with. So if you want to share, maybe guide us through something a little bit so we can build that muscle memory and know how to do this so we can practice it in our own lives, like give us some homework.
Yeah, so I'd like you to, first of all, take your right hand on your heart and your left hand on your yoni. Just take a moment to touch inward and imagine that your heart is lighting up. You can imagine a lotus blossom opening in your heart. You can imagine the sacred fire in your heart expanding and glowing, white and golden and red, more with your light. And then imagine that you can light up your mouth, your tongue, side, mouth, from that light coming up from your heart into your mouth, lighting your mouth with heart, love, and energy. And then let that be on automatic pilot, and take that heart, love, and fire, and golden, white, red light, and send that also through your shoulders, through your arms, into your hands. And is moving down into the yoni. So your fingers and your palms light up with that golden light, and then your yoni lights up with that golden light. You can send the light directly from your heart down into your yoni-verse. Send it directly or indirectly through your arm and through your hand into your yoni-verse. You can also send that heart love down into your legs and feet for grounding and supporting you and being able to really feel the support of Mother Earth underneath you just by opening the channels in your feet. Here, you can feel this soft happening in your heart, this perhaps awakening, tingly sensation, expansion of awareness happening in your mouth, in your hands, and in your feet. I'm going to give you one moment to just feel that and breathe. Really feel it. Now, we can connect into the yoni and we can ask the yoni and see what she says. And what more do you want? And is there anything that you want to share with me? And just listen. That connection. And if she's not speaking verbally, maybe she's giving you concepts or visions. Or perhaps you can feel the love in the yoni and the heart. So fostering this love connection in this way between the yoni and the heart. Oh, what's coming now is if you meet a potential lover, and this is the vision I'm getting. Okay, so you're at dinner, or you're at coffee, or you're at tea, or you're wherever you are. You just met this potential lover. Go into a private space, in the bathroom for a second, maybe, and ask your yoni, person, does he or she feel good to you? And if the yoni says yes, that's a really good indication that this person's going to be good for you. Especially if your heart says yes and your yoni says yes. And that just came in, so somebody in the audience needed that. And now we're going to go into a breath practice that you can do while you're self-pleasuring. So you can keep your hands there. Breath practice. And that breath is, you're going to take, during lovemaking, during self-pleasuring, during any act of foreplay, and during sex, that's called the microcosmic orbit, which is breathing from the genitals up the spine to the top of the head, to the crown, and then to the third eye point, and then back down the front of the body. And then imagining that you can open up your genitals like a flower. Together, and I will talk you through it. You can leave your hands where they are. If it's distracting, you can just put them in your lap. And imagine bringing the breath from yoni to the base of the spine, up the spine, to the top of the head, to the crown, exhaling down the front of the body, feeling the breath on the breast, the belly, the yoni. One more time and I'll breathe in with you. Up the yoni, up the spine, crown of the head, third eye point, exhale mouth on the front of the body, yoni like a flower. If you do this enough, you get really stoned just by doing that. In regular lovemaking, here's the breath. Same breath, you're still going the same way. Up the spine, down the front. It can be any sound, so it can be The reason for sound is sound vibration carries energy, carries pleasure, releases emotions that need to be released, allow you to be more present, to feel more pleasure, and to move more pleasure. So during lovemaking, or at the very least, it's a training wheel. Once you have it established, you start kissing and your body just goes there and starts moving the energy in that way. So don't feel like you're going to always have to do that. Now, during self-pleasuring, I'm going to give you the most important practice that a woman can do during self-pleasuring or lovemaking. You need to have full body order. And I understand you just have 3 minutes. So you're going to self-pleasure.
Can you repeat that one more time? I was getting some feedback. I just want to make sure everyone heard that.
Yeah, you're going to self-pleasure to bring yourself to whole body orgasm. You self-pleasure to a subjective 8 out of 10. 10 is orgasm. 8 is you're getting close, but you can stop. 9 means, oh my God, I got a patron, it's coming. So stop at 8. And pause and breathe. Up the slow breath, one breath. Up the spine, crown of the head, third eye point, Exhale down the front of the body. Open the yoni like a flower. Resume self-love making. Like this, because ideally it's not, but whatever it is to you. Then get to an 8 again. And another breath, just one. Up the spine, top of the head, crown of the head. Hold for a moment. Exhale down the front of the body. Open up like a flower. Go back to self-pleasuring, self-love, loving your breast, loving your yoni. Gently tugging your hair. If you start to get stuck energy and you want to move it through the crown, it's a really great way. And then the third one. Up the spine, top of the head, third eye point, down the front of the body. And then self-pleasure to orgasm. You may find that you'll have your first ever, fuller, deeper, richer, longer, whole body ecstasy that goes on in waves and waves and waves. Threshold break. The threshold is you think you can only have one, and I encourage you to gently, softly, slowly, first touching. I lost my yoni. Must have fallen down. So gently touching the yoni at first, putting your hand there in terms of each of the wellness. So gently putting your hand there, and then listening. Would you like more? Your own pace, gently starting over. And there's so much more I'd love to share. And I want to tell them about my DVD. So this
Please share. I'm very excited about this.
DVD, as Allie said, is called Tantra Practices for Divine Ecstasy. It's a 4-part DVD. It's actually 2 DVDs, and it has 4 parts, 2 on each disc. And the first one is a breath about how to bring yourself into tantric presence. One is an energetic visualization and connection and expansion of all of your chakras, bringing in the color that harmonizes it and the element of nature that harmonizes and expands it through a really beautiful breath practice. Both of these are practice that we do together. So it's almost like putting on a yoga DVD and doing yoga, doing sexy yoga with me. And then the third one, to awaken female whole body orgasm, which takes you through a practice much more expanded than I did today, and includes some of these elements but adds more. It's about 20 minutes. And then the fourth one is about how to bring a man to whole body orgasm. So if you did man, that's really powerful. And it supports you in what I said earlier, in supporting a man and being able to have whole body orgasms and then choose when to ejaculate, which has a whole host of amazing. I'm a Tantra healer, I'm an energy healer, I'm a hypnotherapist. I specialize in healing whatever is in a woman's way and bringing her to the next level of her ecstasy, whether it's non-orgasm or very limited orgasm, or you're having the orgasms but you're not yet experiencing heart and spiritual expansion. Wherever you are. Namaste. And I do Skype in case you're not here.
Yeah, I'm going to get that DVD. And Lourdes, will you also share about the Tantrika certification you have coming up with Kathleen in Florida, in case any women are wanting to go study with you and become certified in this tantric practice?
Yeah, so this Tantra certification is from August 29th through September 4th. It's a 6-day training, and on the 7th day, we have an optional mention day of how to start your business, how to really get it off the ground, marketing, advertising, and all sorts of other divine cosmic information about how to do that. The entire training is experiential, it's healing, it's transformational. We do yoni massage on each other. We learn how to do lingam massage. We also learn to deal with an unethical shadow, how to open up our own emotional healing. Because the more emotionally whole we are, the more we serve as a conduit for other people's healing. And we cover everything that a woman needs, whether she is thinking about doing tantric work and has never done it, or is already an experienced tantrika, but is doing more of a sexual healing rather than sexual shamanic counseling. We're going to do hypnotherapy, regression, timeline. So both Kathleen and I have developed individually from two sides of the globe, because she's in California, a practice that took us beyond what we learned in our tantric trainings and into this growth of coaching and healing. And we are both coming from different perspectives and different backgrounds, coming together to give women this foundational certification on becoming a Tantra healer, counselor, practitioner, teacher.
Yes, and Kathleen is wonderful, everyone, too. She was also a teacher at the East Coast Tantra Festival. So we're getting out of time, and I do apologize to everyone that we're not able to see the comments. So if you have a question from today, which I'm sure you do, you can shoot me an email. If it's one that I can answer, I will. If it's one that Lourdes can answer, Lourdes, is it all right if I send some questions your way?
Yes, yes, please.
Awesome. And if you are feeling burned out on your diet, or you're wanting to get off the pill or need support, I can definitely help with meal plans for helping you reduce sugar and just get in touch with your juiciness. But I'm sure all of you are feeling pretty excited after this webinar. And I just want to say thank you for taking time to devote time to nourishing your pleasure and nourishing these avenues, because every time you commit to something like this, you're just giving yourself more resources. And yeah, thank you for showing up for yourself. Much love to all of you.
Namaste. Love you all.
Yeah.
Allie.
Thank you, Lourdes. Oh, thank you so much, sister.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. All right. Take care, everybody.
Peace, love, joy.